Hello. Welcome to New Meta Podcast, episode 99, the penultimate episode to the triple figure dream. Joining me as always, Marco and Adam, here to discuss many things. Games as always, Aghanim's update, and Offlaners in the patch, as well as just the general state of the meta. Before I introduce you, Marco, I will reiterate what I said at the start of the last episode, which is, speaking of episode 100, that's our Q&A episode. Just to remind everyone, submit your questions for our Q&A. We'll answer them next week. I'll leave the link in the description. Also, if you want to send me an audio file of you asking the question, I'll let you decide how to do that. But if you can get an audio file to me, or just a little recording of you asking the question, we'll put that in the pod. I will put that in the podcast, so you will hear your own voice. We'll all get to hear your own voice. So just PSA on that. Feel free to do that. And you can ask anything. Doesn't have to be Dota related. You can ask Marco what it feels like to lose a 1v1 mid in front of 50 people. You can ask Adam what his colonial ambitions are on Animal Crossing to take over the global universe. And you can ask me how I've managed to go 7 years unbeaten on Wii Bowling. You can ask anything. Marco, welcome to the podcast.
Wow, welcome. Great intro. Big intro. At 99, that is hype. That is big hype. Like you say, the penultimate. So I'm looking forward to next week. I've seen some of the questions. Some of them are good fun.
I feel like I don't know whether I want to see them. I might just stay in the dark until next week. Yeah, maybe you can be question master.
Marco, new host, Pog.
Welcome.
It's not easy saying welcome, man. You think you're good just because you're immortal, but I'm over here sweating thinking about the different ways to say welcome to episode X.
Yeah, I heard the silent 15 seconds as usual. Stan's brain just like taking over. What to say?
He's like, I'll say hello 7 times.
Yeah. Get the seconds ticking over. Count down every minute before I can end the recording. I'm just sweating here until it's done. Adam, welcome to the podcast too. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
Can't wait. This is the penultimate episode, and then after 100, we just end it. That's it.
Yeah, it's just over. We've done our run. That's it. It's
League
done.
of Legends, episode 101.
That would be dark. That would be like the darkest thing ever.
That would be so funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't even want to think about that, actually. Yeah. Let's start how we always start, I guess, which is how have games been? Marco, you've been up to much? 7.27C as we're on to now. We will actually touch on the patch notes in a second, but we'll do games first. So how have yours been?
So the last week, not loads of real games, a few, and a couple notable ones to talk about. Quite a few Aghanims, probably not as much as Adam, but I had some fun playing Aghanims. I imagine we might talk about that a little bit. On the real Dota games, first shout out, I really want to play another Juggernaut. So in the patch, you got that Omni-Slash buff, and I played him and went Battle Fury Yasha. So if you're playing POS 1, casual Yasha is the key to being like a 5k plus carry. Honestly, casual Yasha, particularly in this meta where you don't get percentage movement speed from Agi, you get so much value from the movement speed of Yasha, and then obviously its Agi components are incredible. It's one of the most value carry items. So anyway, Battle Fury Yasha, and then Aghanims, and my word, what an item on Juggernaut now. Just slice him with that extra Omni-Slash attack speed. It's like 15 seconds maybe for this 500 range gap close. Just crit. I was just three chopping supports. It was so much fun, so keen to try that again. And then the next point, my final point would be the Ogre Train. Safe lane Ogre Train is real. It might be at TI 11, probably will be. If you pick Ogre and just farm the safe lane, get a 12-minute Orchid, just cast spells, and you will slay like there's no tomorrow. One of the funny things about it is that people don't understand your strength, because you see an Ogre and you're not really threatened. You're threatened by the 7 armor and a bit of harass. But when you hit a multi-shot, what's it called, multicast, hit a level 4 ignite, and then you hit them, all of a sudden they're dead, and all of a sudden you'll be beyond godlike. So that's my new hype train, Ogre safe lane.
Do you want to explain to the people why you don't go Midas? This is a hot topic of conversation on our exclusive WhatsApp Dota chat. Why do you... Most people think core Ogre, they're going to think, oh yeah, get Midas because you're going to be rich. But
yes, so the way I see it is that the timing is too late, and if you're going to have that farm priority on the Ogre, if you get a quick Midas, it takes a while for the benefits to kick in. Like, it is a long-term investment. It's an investment for XP as well, often for heroes, but more so it's an investment like Spec, say, and it's going to kick in a big item time in around 20-25 minutes. But for an Ogre, your key timing is literally 10 minutes to 20 minutes, if not earlier, like 8 minutes to 20 minutes, when you've got spell points in your Q and Ignite. And so you want items that synergize with that timing. So rather than a Midas, get an Eighth Lens, or be 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way to an Orchid. Hit that Orchid at 12 minutes, you're doing bits. You don't care for the attack speed of Midas. You don't care for the gold, honestly. You farm fast enough with Ignite. You don't care for XP, because like I said, your timing is early game and the early mid game, so you don't need XP for that level 3 Bloodlust. Your timing's early game orientated, so Midas is really ineffective. It can work on a support, I guess, because you are gold gold starved and maybe XP starved. But as a 1, you're killing heroes for days, killing creeps for days, just running around killing, slaying. So yeah, the build: Mana Boots, Orchid, Aether Lens, Kaya Yasha Boots of Travel, Ags, game's done. Bish bash bosh.
Ease
clap.
Adam, games, how have they been? Have you played any real Dota? Have you been Aghaniming it up?
I've unfortunately played real Dota.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Just lost 2 games where people threw. And
were you like
was reminded why I stopped playing that, and I'm an Ags boy now.
Were you playing your real Dota game and like ferrying lanes of creep together and then using AoE spells at one time to like efficiently clear them?
No, I was wondering why my safe lane Mirana is going MKB first item and doesn't get it till 24. That's mainly what I was doing.
Pondering.
Yeah.
If 7.28 came out and they changed the game so that rather than a set starting gold, you have to do one of those Aghanim's mini games, like you've got the one where you've got to jump around on a chicken collecting gold and stuff, and like that's how much starting gold you get. Would you be in favour of that change?
There's no jumping around on a chicken.
Don't be
Shows
so
how much you
disrespectful.
played Ags.
There's one where you jump. There's one where you ride around on a chicken, like in an ice rink or something.
It's a penguin.
It's a penguin, sir.
And there's one where you hit chickens with your hero.
Yeah.
And there's one where you jump with something.
You're on Mortimer.
Oh, you're on Mortimer. I didn't realise.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one are you best at, Adam? Which one do you like the most?
Well, the chicken one is the best one because that's the one where you can get the most gold.
Wow.
If you have a bunch of AoE abilities.
If you have the disruptor thing, right?
The Pango one's pretty meh.
Which one's the Pango one?
I don't think you've done that one.
Wow.
Where you turn into a Pango and you roll around and hit Greevils and they drop gold.
Oh no, I have done that one, I think, once or something.
But if you hit the big Greevil, he astral imprisons you.
Yeah, I have done that one. Yeah. Okay. No, that's quite fun. I say get that in instead of starting gold.
I just think every game of Dota you play, you should get shards that let you buy upgrades so you can start with more gold than your opponent.
The true pay-to-win play, yeah.
No, it's play to win.
Play lots to win, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
I think
should be.
I feel like League has that, don't they? Like mastery pages or something?
I don't
you
know.
have like orbs and stuff?
Not allowed to talk about that until episode 101.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
I have no idea what they're doing over in League World.
Like, I think you can have perks. kind of a deal where like you might have more movement speed than your normal hero was. That type of stuff. I don't know.
Marco's
Seems
shaking his head. I can feel Marco shaking his head.
I'm trembling.
Basically, all I've done is play Omni Knight in the in the Ags Cavern, that and Viper. I beat the second difficulty. Now I gotta wait for you scrubs to finish so we can go to the third difficulty.
Well, me and you got carried by a Viper. That was pretty nice the other day.
That was so unenjoyable.
Wow.
We're just like a 3-stack, and we have this random Viper on our team, and he wouldn't wait in between rooms. Like, he was speedrunning it, and Stan had only ever played it like twice. He was like, what do I buy? And we're like thinking, and he would just run to the next room and aggro all the enemies, so we had to like go in and save them without having bought anything or putting any thought into what we were going to do. I mean, we did beat it really fast at the same time.
News, yeah.
That was good for you because you're like, I only have 35 minutes and we beat it in like 25 or something.
Wow, speedrun.
That guy was just blowing through the game.
Yeah, Viper seems good for a solo carry. It's a good one, or at least he played it well. In terms of my games, I haven't played a ton of games this week. I've played a fair bit of the Ags, 3 games of the Ags, including that win, which was the most recent one. Beyond that, though, played a Kunkka, played an Alchemist in some 5-stacks, played an Underlord, which is relevant to today, smashed an Underlord, actually, and then I was Omega hyped on this hero after that, and then also played a fun in-house game yesterday where me and Guest Nick had to lay down the law versus the listeners. That was good fun too. But yeah, man, Underlord is the real deal, I think. I had a sick game. Greaves, Atos, Lotus, Pipe. It's like the good old days. Pitlord's already like my most prolific hero, so now I feel like it might be time to dust him off again and get some MMR. It's funny because I'm like dying to play some ranked, which is like unbelievable because ranked, everyone knows how grim that experience is, but I'm actually kind of dying to play some ranked because if there's 2 things that go together well in my life, it's ranked Dota 2 and Underlord. So there you go. I'll have to see if I can get to that at some point. Perhaps at the weekend I'll get some games in. Who knows? Right then, I guess we'll do. Let's finish Underlords. Underlords. What am I talking about? Let's finish Aghanims.
Underlord. Yeah, Dota Underlords.
Yeah,
have you ever played that?
No, I played it when it was
Auto Chess.
Yeah, I played that.
Yeah, I've never played Underlords either. But I
never played Auto Chess.
Auto Chess was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But it's like, Underlords is a different client. I can't be bothered to even download it.
Yeah,
I need my other games to be playable in Dota. So like if Animal Crossing could just be in the Dota client, I would play it again. But it's not too much to change the input on my monitor. So Dota it is.
Yeah, for sure. What's the latest news in the world of Aghanim? What's the full name? Oh, Aghanim's Labyrinth. What's the latest news? I see that we have some emerging compositions, like the best speedrun compositions, best tactics. What's the lowdown?
I don't know. Did we ever... Where was that ladder able to be seen?
The trial thing?
Yeah.
So I think that the meta in these speedruns was this Weaver minus armor strat, where you then have Wyvern Sniper pew-pewing and a Tusk tanking and also kind of speedrunning you through it because his tag team. Yeah, his tag team just gives you insane DPS.
Yeah, and the Walrus Punch is quite nice as well. It's like as a save almost.
Yep.
Just flying Walrus Punch. I saw a video of I believe it was a 19-minute run, the fastest yet.
Yeah, 1925.
Yeah, I skipped through that.
It's so funny how the second place is 1926.
Oof.
Literal 1 second. Like when someone say if you cast Mask of Madness, you can't channel or open an item or something. Or you can't channel the next door if you've got Mask of Madness active.
Oh, is that a bug?
Yeah, I mean, it is basically a bug. So things like that can just lose you a couple seconds. I mean, literally every second counts with these sweaty speed runs, so it's pretty funny.
Yeah, for sure.
It was interesting because the first trial was on difficulty 2. Everyone thought it was going to be on like the hardest difficulty, you know?
Yeah. What gets harder with the difficulties? What actually?
So, from 1 to 2, you know how someone like the elite rooms will have modifiers?
Kind of, yeah, like skulls in Halo or something.
Yeah, but then they have like extra effects that make them harder. So in level 2, every room has extra effects. And then the elite rooms have 2 extra effects. And I don't know about... I would assume level 3 ratchets up the same way.
To the strength of the
And I think they're also
minions go up.
stronger. Yeah, I think the damage and like HP and stuff goes up.
Maybe
too.
more of them as well, I would imagine.
Wow, I'm looking at the leaderboard for, I guess, the very first Ags run ladder, because there are 4 different windows, and the top 10 all have the same comp.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Actually, the top 40, I looked at all the trials. Damn.
Top 10 of the 4 different times, yeah.
But now they all... So the next 3 trials, all 25 of them, so all 75 have the same comp. That's crazy.
I think it's cool how, obviously, you've got thousands and thousands of people playing it and then optimizing it and figuring it out. And then
They all settle.
you arrive at the one optimum way to play it.
I think everybody looked at the first trial and was like, okay, this is the best, we're doing it. But shouts out to the people that came in 11th with Viper instead of Tusk. Or no, Viper instead of Wyvern.
Yeah, it's strong. The Weaver's so good because it lets you... Because of Sakuchi, the other 3 heroes just start running into the room immediately, and the Weaver like breaks the boxes and gets the bonus stuff or whatever. Also, interestingly, in the run that I saw, they all use their life as like a resource as well, as in they'll kill themselves, like deliberately they'll die. It's not like they're just trying to survive every room. They'll aggro loads of creeps and get them all in a massive train, or not necessarily a train, but get them all congregated, fight them all in that massive congregation with AoE spells, die in the process on like all 4 of their heroes, but it doesn't matter because it's still quicker than trying to like kite around the room and stuff and not die. So
I think there's a perk too that like you blow up when you die, maybe.
When you
get, like, or when you respawn, you explode.
Well, you're invulnerable for a while when you respawn,
and you get Mask of Madness. I think when you respawn, you definitely get a couple perks, maybe movement speed as well. Spells probably get reset cooldowns. Maybe, I don't know, cooldowns probably won't. Yeah, maybe some like explosion.
Apparently, like the Life Stealer room with the Grimstrokes takes a pretty long time, but so it's like not a good roll to get. Like it's bad RNG. But if you apparently one group did it and they all just like stacked up all the Life Stealers and then just died and exploded on them, and they get out of the room in under a minute. So I guess that is, what's the word? Planned deaths.
Yeah. Speedrun metas just generally are so fucky. Like I'm not into them, but like sometimes I'll watch Twitch speedruns of games for like 5 minutes, and just the way people are doing it, like exploiting every bug they can and speed.
I love
it's
speedruns.
So fucking weird, like shoving like this older character into the corner of some map, then it like springs out somewhere else, and then they do a backflip and teleport into the next map, and it's all like, how the hell do you figure this out?
Yeah. Some of them are so bizarre as well.
Yeah.
Like, some of the bugs are really weird ones. Like, they're not even real in-game bugs. They're like, the title screen comes up and you like somehow... I don't understand how these glitches exist, but somehow you like glitch the title screen after one of the missions, like the second mission. You enter the ending sequence in like you trigger the ending sequence in like a really weird way,
and
then you move something and press some input, and it like thinks that the ending sequence starts, but it's all glitched out, and then the game just ends, and it counts as it shows you the final credits, and it's like you won. Yeah, and it's like, what?
How do you figure that out?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like they examine the code and stuff, I think.
Yeah, the big new one in Ocarina of Time was arbitrary code execution. They call it ACE, and basically it's like what you say. You know, you can like type in your name, right? And everybody puts in Link or whatever for your title character, but you put in this like long string of Japanese characters, and like the game reads it, and it lets you write code into the game.
Oh my god!
And then like it's all based off of like your angles and positions and what you pick up, and like the entire time you're playing the beginning, you're like writing this code base, and then you do this thing to execute it, and the camera like unlocks from you, and you just got to run and know where to go, and then you like, I think you jump slash a rock or something, and then go into a door, and then just puts you at the credits, and the game's over. I don't know. It's really ridiculous. And then people are like, well, this isn't even playing the game. Like there was a whole argument, but it's like the fact that you have to type in this really long Japanese like string. You're actually just writing code in the game. It's like Nintendo didn't. This is too far for even me.
TI-11 strat.
Yeah, somebody's
rewrite Dota code and the throne just explodes.
Yeah, rewrite Dota code.
Imagine,
Tinker will figure it out.
Yeah, imagine that controversy. Someone like hacks TI Grand Finals, gets like an extra 10 GPM. No one notices.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to make a... Oh, go on.
No, well, go on. I was going to make a dumb point.
I was going to say, do you want me to make a Dota-related point that gets us back on track?
Yeah, because, yeah.
Well, isn't that... I mean, there's rules in the TI, like you can't bug abuse.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's in there. So I was thinking of some... You know, when people figure out how to, like, sell their starting items and rebuy them, and they get, like... Or you, like, stack up wards. Like, that used to be a thing. And sell them. Like, you would just get disqualified.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's good, but imagine someone comes to lane with like a Midas or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit too much money on the line at TI to mess around with buggy, glitchy stuff.
Except for fountain hooks.
Yeah.
That's a good Marmite question, honestly. Is that allowed or disallowed? I think it's a very much of a splitter. Either you think it's totally fine or you're like, outraged and flabbergasted. Like,
I was outraged.
Yeah, I can imagine
I was
that.
so mad.
What would you think, Stan?
It depends. Was it well known that this was in the game?
I don't know if you could say well known. I
didn't know it was a thing until I saw the match.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case for most people.
But it was like hard to execute, right? So that's the only reason why it has some merit. Is because if it was super easy, it would just be in every game, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you do have to have skill to abuse this bug, but it is not intended. Like there's no way it should be intended.
Yeah, meat hook shouldn't be able to hook someone across half the map
and drag them into the fountain.
I would probably say that. I'd probably say that it's okay if there was nothing said about it beforehand. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know.
But then it's like, yeah, the first time it's revealed is TI. If that happened pre-TI, they just patch it as they did. But because it gets revealed at TI, it's like it felt too awkward to go, sudden mid-upper bracket grand final patch where you can't fountain hook. So they kind of just had to leave it for the rest of the tournament. Yeah. I mean, I think it was only that game it was showcased.
I mean, surely you just ban it out after that point or something.
Potentially.
Ban, like, the Chen or the Pudge.
Yeah, all you have to do is ban the Chen.
But then it's like, you're banning this pick
that was
because
a
of
good
some
hero.
glitch.
That was a good hero.
Yeah.
It wasn't IO Batrider level, but it was still pretty decent.
Yeah. Marco, make your point. Let's go.
Just a quick one. If you're a fan of the podcast and you want to support us, you can take your Arcana votes and vote for goddamn Ricky. So on the page it says the most contested vote is Disruptor versus Ricky. Get your fucking 60 votes onto Ricky.
I feel bad I didn't vote for Disruptor now.
No, it's just a meme with his bloody tractor. We want to see Ricky.
Yeah.
I voted for Marana.
I voted for... Who's Lion up against?
This Lion Void Spirit.
Oh, I voted Void Spirit.
Oh man, take your votes off and get them on Ricky. I think Void
I
Spirit
don't know,
clean
it's like-
Lion.
Ricky is like such a degenerate pick. It's like I only am happy with it when Marco plays it on my team. Otherwise, I hate it. You know? I don't like to get 3-shot as a support, 2-shot from across the map because he has 4,000 blink range. But I'm fine with it if I win. Smiley face.
Yeah, and you're fine with it if you've got a tractor on your disruptor. Then it's okay.
I'm waiting on the was it Witch Doctor with a gun and a Capri Sun?
Yeah, I mean, pretty wild.
Or Bounty Hunter, instead of a shuriken, he's throwing a Dorito. That's what I'm...
Let's touch on the patch then. Gameplay update 7.27c. Basically, Adam described it as the fixed Bloodseeker patch. He's certainly the hero with the most lines. First of all, Blade Mail armor reduced from 7 to 6. Interesting that they deemed Blade Mail to be too strong. It's funny how... Where do they get these stats from? It must be statistics, right? Win rate statistics with an item spiked to too hard for them or something?
Or it's like they nerf it and it's still getting picked.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Don't need to dwell on that too much, though.
But you think about it, it used to give a lot of int damage, and they got rid of that. And then it used to give a lot of... I mean, still 6 is still a decent amount of armor, but it's like it was still pretty good. I guess the passive... That's the other thing, is that now it's got that passive component as opposed to, the 100% active time. So maybe it is just too strong overall if you're always just giving 20% return.
Also, in 7.27, it went from +6 to +7. So they've reversed that buff from earlier.
Bloodseeker, Blood Rage self-damage reduced a bit by 0.2 at all levels, and the Blood Rage mana cost reduced to a flat 25. Thirst, Creep, Kill, Heal increased from 6 scaling to 15%. Now it's 8 scaling to 20%. So if you kill a creep at level 4 Thirst, which is just a passive, you don't need Blood Rage active or anything anymore, you restore 20% of your HP. That's pretty strong.
No, 20% of the creeps max HP.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but still a lot.
Still quite a lot.
And I guess it still also has the passive, you don't have to kill the thing. I mean, that's still, incidental health as well, so...
Yeah, I think these two changes are unsurprising, that when we first read, this Blood Rage, it sounds great, you got all this attack speed, but everyone read it and thought, Jesus, you are just hemorrhaging yourself big time, losing quarter of your max HP whenever you use a spell. So obviously the Thirst, which is meant to balance it, wasn't balancing it enough with that 15% number, or even level 1, 6%. So now it's 20%. If you think about a creep wave having 4 or 5 creeps, so it's an extra 5% for 4 or 5 creeps. So it does add up quite a lot. The first benefit and the first buff now. So that will balance the self-harm of Blood Rage better. And the self-harm from Blood Rage is slightly lower also. So yeah,
that mana cost is big too. It's I don't know why. Because it was a free spell originally, and then they made it 25 to 40, and Bloodseeker's got no mana pool, so you can't. I don't think you would want to spam this Blood Rage. I haven't played it, I haven't even seen it, but 40 is a lot for someone like Bloodseeker, because he really only has about maybe 3 Blood Rights or 2 Blood Rights and a Rupture, and then he's out of mana.
Yeah.
Speaking of Blood Right, the damage has been rescaled. It's basically just a little bit lower at level 1 and then higher for the other levels. Not much of a change there, simply just rescaling how it scales. And then the talents, his 15 talent, 225 health, now 15 lifesteal. And that means the 20 lifesteal talent that was 20% is now 400 health. Interesting switcheroo there.
I think that's a better order.
Yes. Most carries, I feel like it's more common that the lifesteal talents were earlier, say 15 rather than 20. And like Adam says, I think it's a better build up. You want to, I think you really would way rather have lifesteal at 15 and then get a big chunk of health at 20. Like HP talent for a carry at 15 is just dead.
You'd much rather get 400 health at 20 than 225 at 15.
Yeah, at 15, you're not man fighting for 60 seconds. You need the lifesteal more.
And then 15% lifesteal earlier is just so much more value than 20% late. It's like a kind of a negligible bump for 5 levels of waiting. And it sounds like you're just hemorrhaging your life anyways. Like, you need to get the lifesteal as fast as possible.
Yeah, defo.
Broodmother, spawn spiderlings, magic resistance reduced, and the health increased. Spawn spiderlings damage changed. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's when you press the Q. Okay, so the Q damage has gone up, or gone down from plus 100, now it's plus 80. 25 challenge reduced a bit as well, from plus 25. Spider's attack damage, now it's 18. Buffing Broodmother a bit, basically, I guess, or nerfing Broodmother a bit. The magic resist is a lot lower. Is this because, I guess, the spiders were just way too easily nukeable?
I think they got nerfed.
Oh, they got nerfed, yeah, so now they're more nukeable. I see. Okay.
Wait, I mean, prior to this patch, I think the brood spiders got changed and maybe nerfed a bit too much. Hold on a sec. What is this? Oh, maybe they got buffed too much, sorry.
Yeah, they got... I'm scrolling.
It's because there's this... Right, magic resistance has gone down on the little spiders, but HP's gone up.
Yeah.
Spawn spiderlings. Oh... Well, okay, so in this patch, it's the spiderites that have changed. In the 7.27b, it was just the spiderlings. So, like, the daddy ones.
So the spiderites were still tanky, actually.
So, yeah, the same change has gone to both of them. Both the spiderlings and the spiderlings.
More health, but less
magic resist, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, as a non-brood and anti-brood player, that sounds better, because usually you want to kill the spiders with spells. You're not, unless you've got Battle Fury, you're not right-clicking all the spiders dead. So if now the spiders all have 15% less magic resistance, seems good.
It's like the spiders are better against physical, but worse against spells. But majority of the time, you're killing them with spells.
Brood got a tiny bit of buffs in his agi gain and incapacitating bite. Incapacitating. The fuck? But anyway, incapacitating. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the brood itself gets a slight buff, weaken the spiderlings a little bit, perhaps. Brood's a hero we also don't want to see in games. So I don't know why we talk about it.
Here's a hero we do want to see in games.
Stan wants to see.
I want to see Chaos Knight. His armor's increased by 1, literally unkillable. Nothing else to say.
It's nice.
It's definitely nice. I like CK. I'd play him in pubs.
Have you played him? Knew him?
Yes, I played him in 7.27.
With the passive not on a timer?
Yes, I think so. Let me just check my games. Maybe I played him a bit.
I just wonder how that feels.
Maybe it was last patch, actually, 8 days ago. That seems like lost. No. Wait, 8?
Close.
Close, yeah, it's very close. Maybe it was the day before the patch or something. Might have been. I'm not 100% sure.
One armor is good, though.
Yeah, one armor is very nice. Changes to Clinks. Damage is just lower at lower levels. The strafe attack speed's been reduced at all levels. Death Pact health gain reduced at level 1 and 2. Death Pact damage gain reduced again at level 1 and 2. So just some early game nerfs, it seems like, primarily for Clinks. I guess they felt he was just too strong in the mid game with lower levels in his spells, but he's basically the same hero at max level.
Yeah. Just 20 attack speed off the top of strafe.
Yeah.
It was probably a 1-point wonder.
Yeah, and Razor gain's been increased a bit. Agility gain increased. Base movement speed increased by 5, and now it's 285. Storm Surge speed increased as well at all levels by 4%. That's quite a nice buff.
But it still only does that.
He's rapid. He's going to be pretty rapid though. 24% move speed increase and an extra 5 base.
Yeah.
He can be a race car, and he will be more now. Unfortunately, I don't think it changes the fact that they've changed an innate ability, as in they've changed the ult not giving a passive damage in an AoE, which fundamentally just changes the hero. Now he can't. His farming ability is just hampered, so it's a different hero. Maybe it will come back at some point, being sort of the old Razor that didn't farm and purely just existed as an anti-carry that didn't scale. But for the moment, they've taken out... It's like taking out a spell, almost. So he's going to be down in the dumps, and this change probably won't change that. Spectre, Desolate damage has been reduced a bit. Spectre still rocking in the win rates. And then finally, Underlord, which kind of brings us on to the topic that we'll spend the rest of the episode on, which is Offlaners. We may as well start with Underlord, because this hero is the hype at the moment, as I talked about in my How Have Games Been. The changes that we've seen recently is the Atrophy Aura radius has been reduced from 1.2k, or 1,200 to 900. Pit of Malice cast range reduced from 750 to 275. Firestorm cast range reduced from 750 to 675. And the talent's reduced from plus 100 Pit of Malice AoE to 75, that's a 15. And the 25 talent reduced from 20% Firestorm building damage to 15%.
Jeez, that was at 25% at one point.
The Firestorm damage?
Yeah, now it's at 15.
I don't even feel like you take it, though. I don't even feel like it's that good.
Yeah, I felt like you take the other one.
Yeah, I always felt like you take the other one. Yeah.
Oh, wait, sorry, you're on about the 25 talent.
Yeah, the 25. What's the 25? It's like
it's
AoE...
Malice, root, duration.
Yeah.
It's the 15 talent that is the Pit of Malice AoE.
It just felt like such a meme, like the 20, like the damage on buildings. Same with the Viper poison attack. It's like by the time you get to there, do you really need a push? Like,
no,
not particularly.
It appears that these changes haven't hurt the hero that much. He's still rocking a 56% win rate today. That's very strong. Having said that, though, that seems like... Is that just because people are playing him more, figuring him out more in the meta? Because these changes do seem kind of nasty.
I mean, what was changed... I'm going to scroll. I'm going to look and see what... Like, he got a lot of buffs, so it kind of makes sense, right? He just had... Like, now he gets more damage off of Atrophy Aura. He doesn't get the bonus damage, but it can go to a higher number because instead of 5, it's 7, right?
Yeah, something like that. If we go to what actually changed at some point.
Oh, he got a 25 attack range increase? Pseudo range? Hug.
I think the Pit of Malice, so you've got the cooldown got improved quite a bit, but then the 15 talent got changed from Pit Lord getting cast range to Pit of Malice AoE. And I think that AoE of the Pit of Malice at 15 is now... So that 100 got nerfed to 75 because it's so hard, or it's even harder to get out of the pit after you've been ATOS'd or slowed, such that the likelihood of a second route was just shoved so much higher because of that talent introduction. And I think that's the biggest benefit the hero's got, that Pit of Malice lockdown.
And then Firestorm, even bigger AoE.
Yeah, and that's just general quality of life big time.
Hits Ancients? I doubt that's the...
Yeah, and also the changes to Atrophy Aura means you don't get the permanent damage like Adam said, but in the early game you have absurd levels of damage, and that's always been a thing with Underlord, but I feel like now it's even more obvious. We'll get into the way that you skill the hero shortly, but when I played Underlord, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, I have like 100 bonus damage at level 3. It's absolutely ridiculous. You chomp heroes in like 4 hits almost. You can just chomp a hero.
And then they don't have... It's like no one can trade into.
No. No one can trade into you whatsoever. If you kill a creep wave, and obviously you've got Firestorm, you can push a creep wave if you want. The bonus damage from those creeps, it's obscene. Like, you just run at them, right click them, and just run.
But has that not always been the case with Atrophy Aura?
Well, I'm looking at it now. It doesn't look like it's changed. So if you're looking at level 3, the creep death damage is 5, which is the same as it was. It lasts 5 seconds longer. That's the only change. So I guess the damage is just the same. Maybe I just haven't played enough Pit and I just forgotten how stupid the hero is.
I mean, it's just really nice. It's like permanent Razor, kind of.
Yeah, it's always been that strong laner because of Atrophy. Yeah. You just hit like a truck. You worsen the enemy's damage a little bit as well. I think the Firestorm is a little nice benefit. You are getting a bit more damage with the cast point and the radius improving. But then I think it's you hit the mid game, and your mid game utility is so much about the Pit of Malice that giving that like a couple buffs, cooldown, AoE, that then makes the hero just really potent. The ASOS combo is so good.
That they buff the AoE on your Firestorm, so you can hit the whole pit. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about the skill build for a bit then. I think you can go Firestorm or Atrophy at level 1. I personally just like getting Atrophy. You probably want to be maxing your Firestorm though. You want to have 4 points of Firestorm at 4, just for farm, pushing waves. You can be top net worth on this hero comfortably. The Firestorm damage is ridiculous at level 3, and level 4 obviously tops off. When you get the first point of Malice is basically the discussion, I suppose, when it comes to his skill build, as well as when to level the ult. Marco, I presume you're going to be in the Pit of Malice pre-6 train here. Do you like picking it up at...
I think you could maybe do it at 6, because just skip the ult and say you've got 3 Firestorm, 2 Atrophy, and then a Pit at 6. It's going to be a little bit lane dependent, but I kind of like the idea of skipping the ult or keeping... I mean, Atrophy Aura actually looks like it's... does it scale decently? I think 2 points of Atrophy Aura in the lane's fine, because when you level it up, you just get more duration and slightly more damage per non-hero death. It goes from 5 to 6, and the duration from 45 to 60. So I think 2 levels of Atrophy in the lane's pretty sufficient.
Well, you do jump from 5% damage reduction to 15%, which is nice.
Yeah, so I'm saying keep it at level 2 at 15%.
Right, okay.
I mean, maybe, the 15% to 25% damage reduction to jump from 2 to 3, maybe value, but I don't think you're too bothered about more attack damage reduction in the laning. So I would personally feel happy with just 2 levels in Atrophy, max the Firestorm.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one way of going about it. The other way is, if it's a really good lane, and you don't feel like you need damage reduction for Atrophy, you can grab Malice at 4. You can go Aura, Firestorm, Malice, and then keep maxing the Firestorm.
Yes.
That's an option. But if the lane's a little bit more difficult, uneven, etc., then probably the standard is to do what you just said and get the second point in Atrophy Aura at level 4 and then come back for Malice at level 6. We mentioned skipping the ult, but I do think that the ult itself, Dark Rift, is one of the main features of this hero, and it's kind of easy to overlook, because some games you can just forget about it kind of and use it once or twice. But because it's not a big team fight ultimate, it's not a Finger of Death Laguna Blade, it's easy to overlook just how much value the spell does. There's no hero in the game that can do what Underlord does with his Dark Rift. You can TP back to a lane, defend it with Firestorm, push out 2 waves, whatever, and just Dark Rift straight back into like a high ground push or like a tower push or anything. Not to mention the defensive capability of Dark Rifting out of lost fights or bad high ground situations. So just people overlook that aspect of the spell, of the hero. And I think it's like a huge reason why the Underlord's so strong.
I think if
or
you
potential anyway.
Yeah, the potential's really high, and you obviously see the pro teams use it the most. Like if your team can understand the value Dark Rift can bring, and you then play accordingly, like you say, you can maybe overstep the mark because you know you've got this get out of jail card, or think about how you can split push that bit better because of Dark Rift. I think its potential, like you say, is definitely not realized enough. And it is quite hard, though, to coordinate with your team really good Dark Rift players. Like in a pub, if you're on your own, that's going to be hella tough. But it's definitely got potential that is just not realized.
You don't like it when you pop Dark Rift and you get force staffed out at the last second?
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah,
Or they walk away and leave the carry.
Yeah, man. Dark Rift's like pretty tense. It's also funny when one person gets left out. You know, you rift out, like, you try and rift out the team, and then one person just doesn't get in the rift in time.
It's so funny. It's like Pit Lord's the parent, and they're ushering the kids, like, come here, we need to go, we need to portal away, and then like one of them's just too much for straggler and just gets completely jabooted out, left behind, and just gets mauled to death.
Not a lot to say about the item builds for this hero. I think Soul Ring's pretty standard, probably. You probably don't have to get it, but you definitely do see it in most games. And then beyond that, what do we think? Is the Atos just too good? Because you can, back in the day, I wouldn't go Atos when I played a lot of Pit Lord. I would just go Greaves, Pipe, Crimson, or with a Halberd or a Lotus if I felt like it was necessary. But I think the Atos just seems too good. Atos Greaves on any hero. Do you remember when every single hero just went Atos Greaves?
Yeah, Razor,
Viper.
Yeah.
Well, do you not go Mana Boots on Underlord? I mean, do you need a Soul Ring?
I
don't know. I haven't seen it. Do you go Treads now? Or are you supposed to be like
No, you either go Phase or Greaves. But I think you go Greaves most games. So yeah, Mana Boots most games.
I don't know if you need a Soul Ring, but
yeah, maybe you don't. But
Atos is fun. Very annoying.
Yeah, the triple root with the Malice.
You just turn into a anti-carry, not by like getting rid of their damage or sucking their damage. They just can't leave. You can never leave.
You can never leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Atos is, I think, one of the coolest, like, underrated item in that its cast range is a joke, and then just it's such a guaranteed lockdown, so easy to execute and so useful to be able to just hold a hero in place and catch up and slay them. It's really nice, and obviously synergize with Pit of Malice, it becomes 300% better.
Yeah, the chase is so strong.
Not every game, I don't think you'll need it. Obviously, there will be some games where it's Omega value, where they've got these slippery heroes on the enemy team, but in some games, I think you could actually go kind of maybe this is Phase Boots Soul Ring, but the Blade Mail pickup in the stats is fairly popular, and I think in some games, if there is quite heavy right-click on the enemy team, you could synergize, or you could optimize for this more physical damage reduction with your Atrophy Aura, with your own beefiness of Blade Mail, maybe a Crimson, and really nullify a hell of a lot of damage that way, which I think is very cool and very viable. Or the alternative would be, say, you're looking to finish her with an Atos Greaves, more utility, more control. Both are very strong items to have on your team.
He also benefits massively from the fact that Ursa's got a lot of nerfs. It's the best hero against Underlord in the lane. So that's very nice too.
Monkey King got his Jingu nerfed as well, so that makes me feel like he can't abuse Pit Lord as much.
Yeah.
But the one I always abuse Pit Lord with is Slark. I don't know if you've played against a Slark yet.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That can go really sour for Pit Lord, but honestly, I think a good Pit Lord with a strong lane partner can stand their own, because if you man-fight the Slark in your Firestorm, I do think with a +1 support, you would win the man-fight. So it can be a very swingy lane. If Slark gets a kill, it's kind of GG, but with your Firestorm, you're standing it, Atrophy Aura, standing it, and hit. You actually can kill the Slark before he kills you, so it's a tough lane, interesting lane. So yeah.
And Anti-Mage is meant to be good against Underlord, but I just feel like if you lane against an Anti-Mage, You get Greaves, you just go high ground and you just win before Anti-Mage can do anything.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't have said he's good against it.
Yeah.
He's going to get bullied.
You don't need mana as Underlord. You just need the last hit creeps.
Yeah.
And then Anti-Mage comes up to hit a creep, and then you hit him, and he can't handle it.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on then to other offlaners, potentially emerging offlaners. Do we have any thoughts on heroes we want to give a shout out to? Offlane heroes that we think are strong or rising or interesting?
Sandman.
Sandman, is he back? Sand King.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I've heard the caustic finale is pretty good.
Yeah, true. The core state that took us 5 minutes to work out last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or 2 episodes ago, whenever that was.
I guess he's only 50% win rate, but...
Yeah, I mean, he's not bad. Boros Strike is always going to be an exceptional spell.
I think someone who's telling me about it is like Monkeys Forever was going 4-0-4 on Sand King, which is cool because that's new.
Old school, yeah.
None of this sandstorm. None of this hiding in the sand.
Yeah, I mean, Sandstorm
I'm going to hit these creeps, and then I'm going to burrow, and I'm going to set off a chain reaction that deals a gigaton of damage.
Gonna fuck you up. I mean, it used to be channeling. You had to literally sit there and channel the Sandstorm.
That was epic.
No
good old jungle Sand King.
He did a weird dance. He just like stood there doing a weird jiggle.
Yeah.
You literally Warlock just channeling a spell for 60 seconds. No one's going to skill.
Yeah. A hero I like's Clockwork as a 3. The win rate's good at the moment. I don't know what they changed in 7.B or whatever. Perhaps I'll just have a look here quickly. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Rocket Flare vision reduced. And +1 power cogs to hit to kill. Not really a big change at 15. I don't know what it is about Clockwork that makes me feel like he's good at the moment, but I just really like the hero. I feel like you can get away with him with these, because he's not the strongest of laners. He's obviously got quite weak base damage. I feel like with a lot of these slower carry heroes, you can get away with him in the lane. And then in the mid game, he's just a kind of like a beast. He's kind of exactly what you want out of an offlane. A little bit different to Underlord in the sense that he's not this super beefy tanky hero that just sits there at the front like an unkillable dude, like, come at me with I've got Greaves. But in terms of like a disruptor, get to the back lines, I think he's quite easy to have like a strong impact with. Even if you just hook cogs, use your Q and just die, you still have done like quite a lot, which in a pub setting is important because it's easy to do nothing. So I'm kind of hot on the Clockwork at the moment. I've had some games with clocks on my team that have gone very well. Yeah, I don't really have much more to offer than that, but clocks.
That's the support nightmare right there. That you just like, there's slow support, and then this Clockwork just walks up and puts you in this arena, and you're like, please stop. You have no recourse. You just get battery assaulted to death. Every 0.5 seconds, just another ping.
Yeah, and he's got such a wide range of items to go. Obviously, a Spirit Vessel carrier, that's really good, especially when Spectre's knocking around, Alchemist is coming back. Like, these heroes needs to be answered with a Spirit Vessel, and Clock's one of the best Spirit Vessel heroes. Blade Mail, it's been nerfed. Obviously, Blade Mail must be good in that case. Well, you'd think so. Natural Blade Mail buyer.
Yeah, I think the phase Blade Mail plus 11, maybe plus 10 armor now across both items. That's nice. I think against these melee right clickers, if you catch them in a cogs and a Q and they can't hit you, and then you've got a Blade Mail and they can't hit you, you could even go a halberd for even more strength and evasion, and just you're a tanky mofo that's really disruptive.
Already with a bracer, you have like 1200 HP or something ridiculous.
Yeah. There's an interesting discussion in the Discord about, can you play it as a 3, or should we class it as a 3, or is it a 4? In the past, it has been played as a 3. If you think about someone like Universe, historically has played Clockwork,
Bulba.
Clockwork. I mean, this is now quite a long time ago. The game's no doubt very different. But he's still considered as a 3 sometimes. I don't know what you two think, but I would still err on the side of I think he can do more as a 4 than he can do as a 3. And I'd worry that if he was played as a 3, it could be sometimes too easy to lose its impact. It's strong, obviously, if he gets items, as any hero is, but I would worry that it couldn't get items at a good enough pace and it couldn't dominate a lane or flash farm a lane or kill neutral creeps as well as many 3s can. And then you kind of, its impact isn't felt. Whereas as a 4, I do like it. It's just this, I mean, just hunting down heroes, being disruptive. Don't know what you think.
4 is nice because it does give you the opportunity to roam around and like wreak havoc on the other lanes. Whereas if you're a 3, you kind of have to be locked in to get in the gold. But I think you can make it work. It just depends on what your other support is. Maybe your 4 scales more, and you can just get like a blade mail and just go in as a Clockwork from there.
Yeah, if you rush a phase blade mail, say, and then just go hit that item timing and then go just total aggression, and then let the 4, say it's a Lina or Rubik or something, let them be the ones shoving lanes and farming creep waves. That could be an interesting playstyle.
Yeah, I think it depends what you need on the team, obviously, and by that I mean if you've got a very hard carry 1, I don't mind it as much because maybe all you need from your 3 is a hookshot in, use Blade Mail, use Spirit Vessel on the enemy carry, use a Cogs, maybe run down a support, maybe not, and like die because you're in the front line. If that's acceptable, that's what you need to win fights, then that's great. But obviously in some games, you need your 3 to do more. You'd rather have an Underlord that's sitting, surviving for a long time, giving Atchfiora, giving Greaves, giving all of these classic offlane items. In which case, obviously, the 4 clock's going to do a lot better, because if it's lower farm priority, it's more acceptable for the clock to fly in with a hook shot, use cogs, use spells, and then probably die. It kind of depends, I suppose. In a couple of the recent games that I mentioned, all we've needed from Clock is basically just to set up, and then the rest is easy, and obviously he's an exceptional initiating hero. That said, he's probably just as good as a 4 at doing that, because it basically comes from his innate abilities rather than his gold usage. So yeah, his win rate's probably higher as a 4, I would say.
There's one trending guide here on Dota Buff where the player hits a 7-minute phase boots, 12-minute blade mail. So that's very, very good timing for phase blade mail. And you actually get quite a lot of attack damage from blade mail, 28 or something like that. So if you're cogging someone, battery assault, and just hitting them, it's actually quite a lot of damage. And they can't damage you back because blade mail and you've got no doubt more HP. And then this player finishes Halberd at 24. So that is a big gap. And it says the game was a stomp, but that item progression completely drops off. And to me, that suggests he's got this item time of blade mail at 12, and then he's just running riot for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, and the Sange is like just a little bit more health.
More health, yeah. More status resistance, perhaps, or whatever Sange gives.
Yeah, you're always going to be a 3.5 relative to other heroes. Like, you think about Underlord, he's going to be farming like an absolute treat with Firestorm.
Yeah.
And pushing lanes and everything. This hero, Underlord's going to be flying up the net worth, whereas Clock will always be that 3.5 in the net worth, probably.
There are games where you can totally pop off, right, and not die, and then you might get some more items, but there are also going to be games where you just hook in and die.
Yeah.
Over and over again. But you're still doing pretty much the same thing. Like, you're still having the same positive impact, even if you do die.
Mm. I think you also want to hit a relatively early timing as a Clock, because when you get to an advanced point in the game where the supports have 4 staffs, your impact completely drops off. So if you're able to be active and aggressive in that window, let's say 12 to 22, before support's got a 4 staff online, or before the POS 4's got a second item, it's really strong. But if you kind of not AFK, but if you don't get enough work done before that, and I feel like the hero can get kind of, not countered, but disregarded a little bit, and it's hard for the hero to do lots of work when you get later in the game and people have got items to combat you with.
Yeah. Let's talk about one final offlane hero. Do either of you have one? Do either of you have one you want to talk about?
Semi-Kappa. I do want to try out Pos 3 Ogre. Genuinely.
We're just going to play Ogre in every lane now. Is that what the...
Not mid, because I always lose mid. It's fucking annoying. And I can't kill heroes in the mid, because I don't have a lane buddy. So I'm going to stick to the side lanes for Ogre. But genuinely, for a 3,
But
I
not
want...
support.
Nah. Think about what you can do with all this gold and XP on the hero.
Multicast.
Multicast. 75%
He does have
chance.
good talents.
Talents, yeah. I've been like deep diving all of his numbers and stuff, so I've got the talents sorted.
Pudge didn't last long then. Now we're on to Ogre.
I'll be back to Pudge, don't worry. My pool is going to be Pudge, Ogre, and Ricky. Just
nice.
Disgusting cool.
In terms of win rates, I mean, Tide Hunter's gone up quite a lot. As has, Night Stalker didn't really get changed at all. He's just still strong. Darkseer's plus 3%, but are we able to talk about Darkseer? Is that a thing that we're able to do?
Well, I mean, Vacuum got that. I don't. Maybe it's the Vacuum.
I don't know how damage got buffed.
Yeah, I do. I really like the buff to the Vacuum damage at level 1, going from 50 to 100, but I don't think that has necessarily changed much. Maybe it's the Wall of Replicas a bit stronger, because you've got more slow duration, and then you've got a level 15 talent now that boosts your damage on Replica. So maybe you feel more impact from this hero when he's team fighting.
Maybe. I mean, the Vacuums doesn't make a lot of difference purely based on the way you skill the hero, right? You don't really get Vacuum until
more the wall.
Later. You just get them all at the same time, right? After you've maxed Iron Shell and Surge, you just come back from Vacuum. Maybe get a value point, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice to get rid of a TP or something.
Yeah.
With the Vacuum.
Yeah, for sure. And Darkseer is still Darkseer, right? You're still going Greaves, Pipe. It kind of makes sense that he's coming back, given what he gives to hard farmers, right? Spectre's really popular. I feel like Darkseer Spectre's a good combo. We saw it TI, Darkseer Alk, obviously very strong, and Alk's decent at the moment.
Darkseer Wyvern, Darkseer Jakiro.
Yeah, I feel like
Darkseer Sven.
The synergy
Darkseer
potential
good, yeah.
has always been strong, but for some reason it goes through phases of being favoured versus not favoured.
Because he's boring.
Yeah.
He's so boring.
Is he boring though? I feel like his spells are so interesting, and you've got Vacuum Wall. Like, Vacuum's a cool spell.
Yeah, Vacuum Wall that you don't skill until like level 10.
That's true. You get to Surge and you're really fast. Iron Shell, that's mildly interesting.
He does these like karate chops. He has about the same attack speed as Tiny. Like
his hero model is cool. It's purple. It's a cool color.
I mean, I like him, but it's just like throw an Ion Shell on you and then a creep, and then you just like hug them and hope that they tick out, right? It's because you're not going to like do any. You're not going to do any right-click damage to anyone.
Yeah, he's one of those heroes that you have to learn. You know, his pick rate's always going to be low because you have to learn the hero. And do you think he's a hard hero, Marco, to play, to learn? Is it a difficult hero, or is it just not fun?
I think it's difficult, because I think if you want to realize your value, you need to make good use of Surge and understanding where you can provide value on your Surge. And then you obviously need to hit these Vacuum combos, which again requires coordination that's hard to achieve. I think laning's confusing, because I don't know about his laning. It feels like sometimes it's a free lane if he just shoves creeps into you. Sometimes he struggles to get XP, maybe, because you can just bully him away from the creeps.
He's got a good lane. He just like shoves your wave into tower, and then he takes the hard camp. Like, he just pulls a hard camp over, and then he takes your easy camp, and then he's like level 3, and he can start taking your waves behind the tower.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I feel like if there's a Darkseer that's competent and knows what they're doing, it can be mega frustrating and you don't know how to play against it. But then it's either that or the kind of crap and don't do any special thing like that and don't put pressure on you and it feels a bit easy. So I don't know. It's a weird one. I feel like you do have to learn how to play it and you have to watch the pros and how they lane with it to understand what you're meant to do, because it's not just a vanilla hit creeps in the lane. But then outside of that, I do think it's hard to use Surge and Vacuum optimally.
Do the cool Helm Dom, Ion Shell your creep, Surge in a Centaur, stomp it. That's always cool.
Vacuum, Centaur Stomp, Ravage. Yeah. That's
pretty epic. And then he's a pretty fun anti-carry if they have a really good stat carry and you just make a vacuum or make a wall replica and it deals so much damage. Like if you can replicate a Terror Blade or a Morphling or an Anti-Mage, it feels so good.
I feel like some games though, it could be easy to... You could have all the farm and whatnot, and then it comes to these big team fights, and if you don't hit your wall, you've got a Greaves and that's it, and you're not really doing anything.
Well, that's the difficult thing about Darkseer, is how you actually play him in the mid game. Laning's one thing, but then you end up with this sort of bizarre hero that kind of positionally wants to position like a support, because you might have Greaves, you might have Pipe or whatever, but you're not that tanky. You have no innate spell that makes you tankier. You have decent strength game, but you're not like an Underlord or like a Centaur that's just going to sit at the front with like 1,000,000 HP and Greaves and stuff. So you're kind of positioning a bit back behind your carry. You want to surge someone. You want to be in a position to do a vac wall, obviously. And you also want to be able to use your items like a Greaves or a Pipe. But I totally see what Marco means. It's kind of awkward. You've got this potentially really farmed 3 that doesn't even really want to sit at the front of the fight and kind of wants to position like a support near the back and wait to get this vacuum wall off, or the situation might not arise, especially when BKBs come out. I mean, vacuum doesn't pierce BKB.
Right.
So it kind of can get difficult to fight with once BKBs are out, because then you are kind of a Greaves, and what are you really waiting for? The fight might be over by the time the BKB durations are finished, and then you're just sort of like, oh, I guess I just surge away.
On paper, you can see some Omega plays and value happening. Like, on paper, I get a 3-4 man vacuum into the wall, and then I get someone else's spell hitting everyone at once, like an Impale, Ravage kind of thing, and wow, that's just a team fight 1. That's a really particular, specific outcome that you can't guarantee that happening. You can't just make that happen every game, every fight. It's a bit unreliable, I guess, and you could play around it, and your team might not play with you. Enemy team can be split up, in which case it's hard for you to guarantee you're actually adding value to the game, versus a lot of other 3s where the spells are much more easy to realize value. Honestly, I think the Surge, it's a basic spell, obviously, but I don't think most Darkseer players use it effectively. I think it's on cooldown all the time. I think they could be using it on allies, but you don't really. Most players don't think about allies and buffing allies 24/7, because naturally you wouldn't. You're thinking about your own hero and your own spells, but actually Surge value comes from putting it on your allies, putting it on that support so they can run ahead and get a disable and you get a catch and a kill, or put it on your carry so they can make an engagement happen. Obviously, you got defensive ones, but if anything, it's the offensive ones that can do more value but are harder to realize, and I don't think are used as well. Yeah,
for sure. I think that sums up well.
So a hard hero, I think, and it kind of floats in and out of the meta, or it definitely floats in and out of pro scenes as well. I think it's just a hard one to make work in pubs.
Yeah. Do we have a flame corner? Didn't I tease a flame corner last week? Did that happen? Am I remembering that correctly, or did I just do a flame corner?
You did tease one.
Oh, I teased one. Okay, so I have to do it this week. Okay. I'll have to cast my mind back to try and conjure up the levels.
You said it would be. You would remember it because I expressed concern.
Yeah, no, I do remember it. I remember what it was already. I remember that I teased that it was about the new player experience. And Right. Here's my flame corner. I'm going to mitigate this a little bit by saying I don't know to what extent this is based on the history of this account or like etc., but all I've got is this evidence to go on. So about a week ago, I played a game on one of my friend's accounts, which is obviously a shock horror, I know. An account... I know, that's an instant ban. The account hadn't had a game played on it for like 7 weeks, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Like, if you haven't played a game for 7 weeks, does it mean that you might get some weird MMR game? Anyway, so I just played an unranked game on this like new account that doesn't even have a quarter of the way up to ranked, so it was just an unranked game. Get into a game, I pick Tinker because it's like unranked on some random uncalibrated account. Honestly, the literal hardest game is harder than my ancient 5 pubs, like ranked pubs. It's like impossible. I'm getting stomped in lane by like an invoker. All the other lanes are like, I don't understand. These accounts have no games on them. All new accounts in this game. All like 20 and 0 total or whatever. If Fred wanted to, what's the name of my friend, played a game on his account, it would be like, I just don't understand like what no new player would like ever bother to play in it. And maybe it's because I played like the last 5 games have been me before it was actually Fred using them. So maybe that's enough. So 4 wins. Maybe that's enough to like bump up. But it shouldn't be because Fred could easily have just won 4 games in a row. It's not that much of a big deal. Anyway, that's basically my flame corner. But like, my goodness, it's obscene. Like new players just get stomped by Smurfs like every game because I'm getting stomped by Smurfs. And I've only played on the account like 5 times or something. Yeah, that's my flame corner.
5 bans.
Yeah, 5 bans. But still, I mean, you could easily win 4 games in a row if you're a new player. So if that's all it takes for you to be placed in literal divine immortal bracket...
it takes account of how you did, right? Looks at your metrics, doesn't it?
I hope so. I
think
hope
so. I think it doesn't just go off binary win or lose.
Okay. Well, hopefully. I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if I did play another game on the account. It'd be interesting to see what the game would be like, whether it'd be really swingy and it would swing me back down a lot or not. It'd be interesting to see. It was funny as well because at the time the only reason why I played a game on this account is because I just had like a crappy day or something and I just wanted to play like some random BS Tinker game, and then I just got the ultimate karma for that decision to relog my account and just got slapped. So maybe it's Gaben punishing me. But yeah, that's basically my flame corner. I don't know what the solution is to that, by the way. I guess unless it's gone off metrics or something, and I like popped off on the 3 games that I played before.
Yeah, I'd echo that.
I mean, the new game experience needs to be, or new player experience definitely needs to be
looked at,
tinkered with. Yeah.
Tinkered with, nice.
Ooh, tinkered with.
It is just awful when these new looking accounts. I mean, it's even in Divine or Immortal. All these new accounts, they are pretty quick to move them up, but it's like I don't feel good about losing to an account with 100 games on it. You know what I mean? It's like they obviously should not be where they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. Has it always just been this bad? Like, has new accounts always been like rampant, or is this a new thing, or is it just a Dota for as long as Dota sort of thing?
I think for as long as Dota, there's always been Smurfs.
Yeah. Yep. Guess that's the way it is. But on that happy note, remember to leave your questions for episode 100, and like us if you want to be a best friend of the podcast, and definitely tune in next week for episode 100, and until then, have a final whistle.